song for everybody. Some folk won't understand what that song was all about, but Larry, there just maybe me and you and maybe a few others in this room might understand what it means to hold on.
Amen.
I mean, I know some of y'all ain't never been through nothing yet, but for those of you that know what it feels like, it seems like Mark 4:38 has been a verse I've been kind of playing with for about the last 2 weeks, Sister Martha. And that verse says, you know, the disciples got upset, said, Jesus, carest thou that we perish? Now I know none of y'all have never been through a situation where it seemed like Jesus was asleep in the boat. Like clearly, hell has broken loose. Clearly, everything in my life is topsy-turvy. And Jesus, you got the nerve to be asleep. And matter of fact, I hear you snoring from heaven. Okay, well maybe you ain't never been there. Maybe you've been there to the place where you've been praying for everybody else and it seems like their miracle happened like that. And then you try to sneak your miracle in the middle of that miracle and it seems like God starts snoring a little louder. But waiting on the other side of temptation, waiting on the other side of this test, it's everything you need, everything you prayed for, everything He promised you. But the only way you get there is if you hold on.
Amen.
If you have your Bibles and you're at Exodus chapter 14, would you please stand to your feet and read this text. Now we're going to go to that 5 right there for me. All right? And then we're going to be in and out your way. Waiting on the other side. Sister Kim, you preached in that song.
Amen.
So I'm just going to try to echo what you said. That's all I'm going to try to do. Then I'm going to sit my little tail down. Now we're going to be in the 14th chapter, starting at the 10th verse. When Pharaoh drew near to the Israelites and looked up, and behold, the Egyptians. And the Israelites looked up, and behold, the Egyptians were marching after them. And the Israelites were exceedingly frightened and cried out to the Lord. And they said to Moses, is it because there were no graves in Egypt that you have taken us away to die into the wilderness? Why have you treated us this way and brought us out of Egypt? Didn't we tell you in Egypt to leave us alone and let us serve the Egyptians? For it would have been better for us to serve the Egyptians than to die in the wilderness. Moses told the people, fear not, stand still, firm, confident, and undismayed, and see the salvation of the Lord, which He will work for you today. Look at that person who's standing next to you who look like they're crying, say it's going to happen today.
It's going to happen today.
For the Egyptians you have seen today, you shall see them never again. If you look at your neighbor, say, neighbor. Neighbor. The topic of today's discussion is.
The topic of today's discussion is.
The price.
The price.
Of the promise.
Of the promise.
You may be seated in the presence of the Lord. The price of the promise.
What did he read?
What's interesting to me in this particular text is that the children of Israel made a statement based upon their perspective. And it began to just kind of bother me. Because as I looked at the text and I was asking God questions about this, because the Lord gave this to me this week, and I said, Lord, what does this have to do with us? What possibly could we draw from this particular scenario? And the first thing I want you to write down, the first point, is their major complaint was they still had vivid memories of how they thought it was good in Egypt. They thought it was good in Egypt. See, one of the major problems that the church has is that we don't know the difference between heaven and hell anymore. See, heaven seems to be the place where all my desires, all my pleasures, all that I feel, all that I want, everything that brings me joy, everything that brings me peace and contentment. Surely, my God, that's heaven. And surely hell is
the place of judgment and torment, and it's the place of struggle, and where my character is constantly assassinated, and it's the place in which where the enemy is seen to have a free reign in my life. But the reality is, sometimes, in order to get to heaven, you got to go through a little persecution.
Amen.
Now, I know you don't like to hear this. I know this isn't your favorite message to hear, but I want to let you know that in order to get where God is calling you to, I'm going to cuss at you. It's going to take some sacrifice.
Amen.
Now, look at this particular text. And so what happened is, first the Egyptians began to come after Israel. But one thing that you didn't realize, and this is for somebody in here, one thing that they didn't realize is that the Israelites were frustrated because they saw the Egyptians, but they didn't realize that it had nothing to do with the will of the Egyptians.
Amen.
You're not hearing me. It had everything to do with the fact that God hardened the hearts of the Egyptians and caused them to come after Israel. Why does that matter to you? Point number one for your own little life. The struggle that you are encountering has more to do with God coming after you to prove you than it has to do with your bad, raggedy decisions.
Amen.
Let me say it again to you this way, because I don't think you heard me. See, the first complaint, they realized when the Egyptians began to come after them, they began to realize that now we are under attack. So they got mad at the leadership. They got mad at Moses simply because now they were under persecution. Let me say this to you. Let me say this to you for those of you that might be foolish enough to actually try to do what I do for a living. All right? Let me encourage you. What you do is when you actually get up here and you take this position and you take the responsibility, you now have made yourself a target for all good and negative comments, and you are responsible for them all.
Yes, sir.
Did you realize that the funniest thing about Moses, if you really examine his life, he really didn't want to give?
Amen.
I was happy in my, he was happy in Egypt. Huh? He was happy. He was happy in Egypt. He was sitting next to the Pharaoh. He was living a dream. But one thing that he didn't realize is that there was a purpose that he was avoiding. He didn't realize that God was going to call him out of his place of comfort to a place of persecution and pressure.
Amen.
And so now you look at this particular context, and you look now that the Egyptians are coming after the Israelites, and the Israelites begin to complain and say, was it that we didn't have enough graves? I saw a lot of plots. Matter of fact, I even picked my own. I knew that eventually this is where I would die.
Amen.
Okay, let me give you a, let me parenthetically insert this right here. And this is how some church folk get it. They say, well, you know, I've already sung these songs and I've done these services, and this is what I want to die in. I don't need God to do nothing else. I don't need no other movements. I don't need no change. This is the person who's going to do this for me. This is the place where it's going to happen. This is how I'm going to live my life. Matter of fact, God, look, all I need is your final signature on my plan. It's already done. And this is how I want it to all happen.
Amen.
And then God comes to you and says, poor little Gucci. Him had a plan, and now he done gone all to smoke. Because as long as we served our enemy, they didn't come to hurt us. As long as you still please that man, he ain't going to come after you. Talk to somebody else over here. As long as you keep staying at that job, you won't have to worry about faith and trusting God with unemployment. Talk to somebody else. As long as you don't talk about your family and expose the foolishness that y'all be doing, they'll still stand with you.
Amen.
Yeah.
What happens when God calls you to be the one to step out and believe and gives you a vision of something greater? What if God said that the servitude and your welfare mentality and living, that there is something better beyond the place in which you live? And then not only does he say it's something better, Sister Stacy, but he says, I am requiring you to get there. And it's not that you have to go. It's just I'm going to make sure that you can't stay. You don't realize, beloved, that the very situation, the thermostat,
The chair you sit in is all under the control of a God who said at any given point, I'm going to put some hot coals under your tail and make it uncomfortable for you to sit there.
Amen.
I'm going to force you to get, let me say it this way to you that don't believe that this type of stuff happens. God will get you where he wants you because he owns you.
Amen.
All right.
We see in all this process, we forget the sovereignty of God, Brother Don. We forget very clearly that since we died, especially for Christians, I'm not even talking to non-believers yet. I'm talking about those who claim to be blood washed and fire baptized with a mighty burning fire. This is one part of the, we don't like preachers, Pastor Howard, but I got to say it because I can run right out that door and I'll be fine. Because after Jesus gave his life for you, you didn't read in the rest of the context where he said, now I'm requiring your life in service to me.
Yeah.
Amen. All right.
I'd throw this mic out the window. Because somewhere along the line, we thought salvation meant forever, eternal pleasures in the way in which I enjoy.
All right.
Israel thought that now that they found who the deliverer was, who was going to lead them and guide them, that they were going to live a happy life in Egypt. But after they realized that now the Egyptians were coming after them, the second problem that they had, Pastor Howard, was the simple fact that now they didn't like the food they were eating.
That's right. Yeah.
The food got you. If you read very clearly, grab your Bible. I want you to look at Numbers real quick. I want to show you something. So I want you to think I made this up. Because even though I probably could and it would sound real good, you probably wouldn't believe it. But I want to show you something.
What's the verse?
Numbers. You go right here to Numbers chapter 11. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Chapter 11. 11 and 10. Can you read that for me? When you get there, say amen.
Amen.
Numbers chapter 11, verse 10.
Now Moses heard the people weeping throughout their families.
Okay, hold on, wait a minute. The reason why I'm letting him read is because I don't want you to think I'm lying to y'all. All right.
Each man at the doorway of his tent. And the anger of the Lord was kindled greatly, and Moses was displeased.
Sound good.
So Moses said to the Lord, Why hast thou been so hard on thy servant? And why have I not found favor in thy sight, that thou hast laid the burden of all this people on me? Was it I who conceived all this people? Was it I who brought them forth? That thou shouldest say to me, Carry them in your bosom as a nurse carries a nursing infant to the land, which thou didst swear to their fathers? Where am I to get meat to give to all this people?
Hold on right there. Where am I to get meat? Because according to the context, they had all kind of steaks and scrimps in Egypt, and they were able to eat whatever they wanted to eat. All they had to do was give their obedience over to the Egyptians.
Amen.
Let me bring that to today's terms. It seemed like you living good, you doing your thing, but the moment it seemed like you try to live for God, it seemed like the moment you try to step out of your place in which it was comfort and you try to serve God, you now run into what we like to call hardships.
All right.
And so they said, wait a minute, God. You want me to give up my sprints and these steaks to suffer and to eat this raggedy vegetable that ain't even got no meat in it?
Well,
If you want to upset some folks, take away their meat. Well, let me say it this way. Take away the thing that they think they like and they think they need. One thing that was very interesting for the children of Israel in this particular process is that he was trying to show them that the things that they value had little to do with their relationship with him.
all right.
Let me give you one more. The last issue that they had was the length of the journey. Let me say this. Let me say this to you.
book of Daniel says that the goal of Satan is to wear down the saints.
Yes. Yes.
And so the thing is that there are people that are going to complain. There are people that are going to be frustrated with the amount of time and effort that it takes to get where God has promised them. But here's the real issue. You ready for the real issue? The fact that it didn't happen day after yesterday.
Yes.
And that's the real issue that people run into. Because why is it, God, that this journey was supposed to take only a few days, but it ended up taking 40 years? Simply because there were some people who were unauthorized that couldn't come into the promised land. Let me say this to you. Some of you have delayed your very destiny in God because you just can't let go of your cousin Bookie. Some of you will not get into the place where God is calling to you because you simply want all your friends and their mama to come with you. Let me say it with you like this. Some of you will not get to where God is calling you because you want the same amount of money in your account to go over. Everything that has taken the place of God has been the very thing that hinders you from going into the place of promise. And that left. And the time continues to march on. But here's the high point. What do you do, though, with those folks that were bold enough to come to Moses and say, Moses, look, bro, I think you missed it. Let me say it this way. Sit down and listen. I know you're trying to do all this stuff for your grandchild, but look how it's affecting you. Look at how your life is going. Look, bro, you got a family, man. You can't just fool around with this God stuff. You're going to make that money. Look, I understand. You got too many ends to be getting to be fooling around with these folk who don't even spend time in their life. They don't even like you. They don't even say hi to you. Now you already know they be talking about you behind your back. You know, they can't wait to see you come. And look, all we gotta do is go back to homeboy's house and just chill. And just get it like we used to. You already know what it is. You know, they can't look, you know, they be talking about you, they be coming at you. Matter of fact, they don't like your family, man. You know, this ain't nothing. You've been through this before. You've heard people come before talking about this is the will and this is the way of God. And all they did was just get you frustrated. So what do you do when you hear all those frustrating voices and all you wanted to do? Matter of fact, truth be told, you didn't even know there was a Canaan. All you wanted to do was just please God.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm talking to somebody in this room that hears all of those voices. And you know that God is calling you to more. God is calling you to greater. But the number one thing that gets in your way, Sister Martha, is the fact that you still value the voices that are complaining. You know the one thing that I love about God? This is the one thing I love about God. God gave me this revelation yesterday about this text. He said, you know the great thing about the people that are coming against you? Is God won't destroy them. He's going to let you outlast them.
My God. My God.
Amen.
God isn't going to deal with the complainers. God's just going to give you endurance. I'm talking to somebody right now that may be in this room and you feel like, you know what, I'm at my last straw. And I can't do this anymore. I'm tired of all the people talking. Every time I try to take 2 steps forward, it seems like they push me 10 steps back. All I want to do was come for Jesus, and then somebody put me in this gossiping circle. All I want to do was live right, God. And all of a sudden, folk now targeting me. I was in pain, and all I want to do was hug the pastor, and now they claiming we're sleeping together. I mean, that doesn't happen in church. That happens, you know, like in Miami. All I wanted was this promise that I heard the man of God or the woman of God say. But then people said, well, you know, we don't accept people like you. You know, you got to change this. How you come in here dressed like that? How you come in here smelling like that? And all they wanted was Jesus. I promise you this. If you got a promise from God and you have something that God told you to hold on to,
Don't let the worries of the food change. Don't let the issues of the rent, and don't let the issue of the fact that people are now coming after you bother you. You push your way to Jesus, and you get it for yourself. Because I will promise you this. After a while, these people will be gone. This building will be gone. And all that and only what we did for Christ. And so when we get before the Lord and we say, Lord, I tried to get to you on Sunday, but Sister Junebug kept coming to service. She kept sitting in my seat. But she told me in the parking lot that we didn't like her kind. He's going to simply say to you, that's not what you came for. You came for me. Everybody stand to your feet.